Good afternoon, traders. Welcome back to Start Swing Trade. And I'm really ready to get into this market. It just seems like the euphoria in this market cannot stop. Bubble environment, these short squeezes all around. Stocks like Tupperware making moves. Stocks, they're just going after anything with short interest, it seems like right now. And where does this usually happen? In bull market, right? Bubble environments. I've been talking about it. I've been calling this move a bubble. Whether you guys want to believe it or not, I mean, I'm going to keep calling it a bubble until you probably just see it on CNBC, and then I'll have to stop. But yeah, we're going to keep watching. We'll see what happens with this, and stocks just continue to ride higher. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening underneath the hood right now. Let's get into different stocks. You guys can see stocks like Tupperware going higher, and we'll go through some of the stocks, some of these biggest movers on the day right now. Let's look at the SPY. The SPY is kind of leaking here, and really hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, look at the hourly candles, man. The hourly candles really are not going anywhere, but it is starting to decline a little bit here towards the end. And I think that a lot of this is what was waiting. The bulls were waiting all day to try to drive it higher, and it just couldn't drive past this kind of 458 level. So it's okay to see that kind of reject there. And you can see kind of a trend line being created now from the highs here. And so I'm just going to continue to watch that. We could pull right back towards 454. So we're going to stay within this range for a while now, it seems like. The big thing for me is watching this 9 EMA to see if we continue to hold. Unless we break, let's say, 450s, I'm still in that banging the bullish side outlook, because it just seems like this is what's working for us, right? And one thing that we definitely don't want to be doing is shorting an environment where we're seeing stocks rip for no reason, just because it has short interest and it starts to get lift. Well, we need to pay attention to those types of moves, because that can definitely be something we can gain on. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at what else is making a move today. You guys can see the Qs kind of pulling back a little bit. Not much going on today in the market. Really just kind of sideways action here. And it was kind of a dull day in some of the bigger stocks. We'll talk a little bit about those coming up right now. Let's take a look at the capitalization stocks right now, the high cap names, right? So Apple, where did it go today? Pretty much nothing. Literally in line from the open right now as we speak. So this goes to show me the stocks aren't moving right now. And so this is something that I want to pay attention to. But Apple not getting much lift at all right now. Microsoft also continuing the pullback and hasn't really bounced back. It did do a little bit of a bounce back on Friday. And I thought this would really start driving past 340s. Today, we're right back to 334s. So this just shows me Microsoft isn't coming back as fast. So we got to be careful with seeing Microsoft continue to decline. But what can save it? Of course, stocks like Amazon, right? Amazon going higher today, of course, in front of their earnings. And I think this is just a run into earnings. We'll see how far it could lift. 135 seems to make sense right now. We'll see if Amazon can get to that. And of course, Amazon's earnings will be on Thursday after the bell. Stay tuned for that. We'll see what happens there. It's definitely going to be something to watch. And there's a lot of earnings that we're going to be watching towards the bell. And we'll talk a little bit about those names. So if you guys have any stock that has an earnings this week and you guys want to talk about it, throw it up in the chat. We'll get into the action. We'll take a look at what's coming tomorrow before the open and after the close today. You will get Western Digital. There's not much on my eyes tonight. Maybe Diamondback Energy as something that I'll just look at. But tomorrow before the open, you get Pfizer, Uber, Caterpillar, BP, Marathon, Marriott. Definitely going to be watching that Marriott report. So let's go ahead. Let's give an update on what's been going on my swing trading action. Just the last comment from the big boys that I just see is Meta also down big. I think it could start coming back here towards this 312, maybe this 310 area. So you could get a little bit of a pullback. Does it mean that the meta trend is broken? No, I'm not going against any of these stocks right now. Adobe going higher, and I still remember when we were watching this and I was able to trade it back down through the 500 and it started calling for a bullish side 500 move. Now it's up there to 547. Got a price target today of like 660. Man, what a big move it's been in Adobe. Let's get to the swing trade action today, guys. I did take some profits in some stocks. The first one we'll get into is the one that I sold completely out of, which is Hyatt. Why am I completely out of Hyatt? Well, it had a nice little day today, started pushing higher. And I said, you know what? Marriott's going to be reporting tomorrow before the bell. And I just don't want to be in front of the names that are reporting. That's a very easy way to get wrecked. Let's just be honest. One of the things that I don't like to do is hold stocks into earnings. And usually when I do that, let's say if it's a swing trade and I'm up a couple percent, somehow the name disappoints and I just get crushed. So I've learned to go ahead and just take the profits. If I didn't get that much because the earnings are going to come out tomorrow and things like that, well, that's all you can do. You're never going to know exactly how much you're going to get on the reward side. All you do is you target it, but there's certain times that you just got to take that money and run. We'll see what happens on Marriott tomorrow before the bell. And this one could still report a good report, but let's just be honest. For the quarter, it's been pretty strong. And it's been up about in the last 1.3 months, about 18%, and could pull back maybe right below 200s, back to the 290 MA around 196. And then I could see it coming back to the 200. But Hilton was another one that we had earlier on. And this is the same thing. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned as it gets towards the top side, and Marriott coming in with their earnings. All right, that's a Hyatt. So it took the profit on that one. Not a bad gain at all. Almost a 6% gainer on Hyatt. Let's go to the next one that I took profits on, which was Ross Stores. Ross Stores trying to continue going higher, but I didn't have the much conviction in Ross Stores. So today, as I start seeing a little bit of some topping action, I said, you know what? I'm just going to get out of this position. I'm not thinking that we can, just continue lifting. And it's a little bit of a slow mover for me. And I have a little bit of tendencies sometimes with the slow movers of taking the money too fast. In this case, might be taking the money too fast, but I'll be okay with it. It's still good money here on Ross Stores. We'll take it. All right. Next one I want to talk to you guys about is, of course, the oil trade that we took just on Friday. I was looking at XOM to kind of get in that, and now you're right back up there. XOM up there towards 107 today, getting up to a high of 107.86, almost to 108 already. I was looking for the reversal off of that red candle, going right back up towards the resistance. And there you guys see it. We're right back above the resistance. Exactly what I was looking for in ExxonMobil. Now I'm looking really good in this position as I got in there at 103.27s. I'm up about 4 points right now. And I'm going to look for this to continue going through the 108 and maybe getting towards that 110 before I take that profit. I did take a little bit of profit today just to pay myself. I mean, when a stock makes that quick of a move to resistance, I don't mind paying myself a little bit. Paid myself some today at 106.66, and I'm going to look for the big rip above towards that 110. And then it can really start driving higher. It can get towards 112 and even 115. I could see it if we can continue, especially riding crude higher overall. I, of course, have also PXD on the oil game. I'm going to look for this to continue riding higher. This actually looks really good. It kind of just slowly stair-stepping its way higher. Now up there towards 226, a high today around like 226.50, 226.75. And I got this, of course, from 217.95. So up a decent amount now. Up about 3.69%. I've taken some gains on this one, looking for a continued expansion move towards like about 230s. If I can get up there to the 228s, 229s, I don't mind just taking that profit and then getting out of here on PXD. Not a bad little gain as it starts to drive higher. And energy, the leading sector to the upside today. Also something very important to push and look at, right? When we're getting this leading sector and our names are in that leading sector, well, that's exactly what we want to be in. So swing trading wise, I think I'm in really good positions here with XOM and PXD as I see energy lead higher. And of course, I flipped on it, right? And I think that's the important part, understanding when we got to flip. And this is the clear example of that flipping is actually making me money, not only saving me money. And that's a very important thing to catch. All right, catching up with the chat out there. How we doing? It's good to see you guys. And I'm just trying to keep the show going. It's about 3:42 here. So looks like we're getting some comments in the chat. Let me see what's going on out there. Biden decides to keep Space Command in Colorado, overturning Trump's decision to move it to Alabama. Yeah, I would say Space Command would probably be better left in Colorado, but that's just my decision. But hey, who knows? Mitch should write a book. And honestly, no, I don't think I'm ready just yet, but maybe someday in the future, Nicholas. I'll get there. All right, let's keep going. Interested in seeing Cat this week. That's a good mention, Walter. And I think it's going to be a very important name to catch, right? You guys know I traded Deer for a while, and Deer move was a really nice move. We'll see what happens on Deer after this report. If Cat can do well, I think Cat rips it. It's at a new all-time high. And you guys can see that on the chart. It could just rip right past this high here with this earnings report. So it's about the high here I have is 266.04. We're at 263. If it breaks through that 266, yeah, Deer could be ripping by tomorrow right back up towards 440 and 450s. So I'll keep this one on watch. If for any reason Deer disappoints or Cat disappoints, I'll be looking for pullbacks on Deer to come back there towards the 420s to 417 area, back into this space. And I'm looking for the golden cross. I did a circle on this to kind of keep watching it. Watch as the 50 moving average moves fast above that 200. That's one sign that I'll be looking for in Deer. All right, let's keep going, guys. We'll see what happens in that. And it's good to see you guys all in the chat. Raz, EKS, how we doing out there? My folio is up because I have some long energy. Of course. Why not? Dull day, XOM 3%. Hey, I'm talking about at least energy wasn't dull, but there were some other areas in the market that were a little bit asleep. But hey, I don't know. Maybe I was looking at the wrong stocks. Thoughts on Merck? We'll take a look at that, Raz, when we take a look at healthcare. Healthcare is actually not leading on the downside, but it is in the red. We'll talk a little bit about that. That's kind of the third leading sector on the down. All right, let's go take a look here at what we're going to see. And of course, energy leading to the upside. We've talked about those names are already a good amount. Chevron starting to push to 163. This is one I'm actually really starting to like. This is one I actually think could get some move and continue lifting, right? If we're really going to get this move in oil, now I'm starting to see Chevron as a nice opportunity here. I'll be looking on pullbacks closer towards like 161 and 160. And looking for the lift above 165. Wouldn't want to see it break 160 now. Would want it to just start lifting off here. Chevron, not a bad one to keep on watch. This actually looks pretty good here. Oxy also looking pretty good as it near the bottom, right? And so these stocks that are lagging a little bit can start kind of catching up to the leaders and start to push. Oxy looking pretty good, trying to recover the 200-day moving average and starting to push towards 64. I'd want it to really make that day two move, like going to 65, showing me that it really wants to go ahead and break out of this little trend line and start coming back to 70. We'll see what happens here in Occidental Petroleum. All right, basic materials also having a really good time. I've been talking about this sector and how we're going for like a kind of a really good push that we had back in 2022. And it looks like we continued it today. Silver now going into and getting a little bit hot here. And keep your eyes on names like AG and MAG. Those did good there. Coal starting to get the lift as BTU starts to lift. AMR taking the lead, of course. Keep your eyes on other names like CEIX. This is one I actually really like. It's been holding the pattern. I'd like pullbacks now towards like 70, 89, 70, 90s if I could get that, but it's already taken off here. We'll see what happens in some of these coal players, but coal, not a bad move there. Gold up. Copper really starting to get strong. FCX, of course, taking the lead there. You got aluminum up also. I talked about Alcoa. Last week, I had CENX. I sold it a little bit early when it cut 9 here, but as you guys can tell, I sold that a little bit early. Didn't play it the best way and was looking for a lift towards the 950s. Maybe just wasn't patient enough. There's Century Aluminum really starting to get in the right favor. Industrial metals and minerals. I do have a stock here. I have Tech that I've been long, and this is actually starting to get good in the green. I'm up about 2.76% on this position. Not looking too bad. This one runs also with CCJ, and I like CCJ. Of course, you guys know I swung traded last week, and that's continued going. So I could have just held that position. It's up there now to 35s, but really starting to be interested in some of these metals and minerals. They look really strong and look like they can keep lifting. BHP doesn't look too bad. That looks like it could start pushing back to 65. MP, we'll see if these lithium names start to get a little bit of a lift. I know that ALB reports later in the week. That's going to be a big report to kind of catch, and definitely look for some of these material names to get the report and maybe get the lift. Steel continuing, of course, we've talked about Nucor and how that started to set up, looking for a move above 172s. We'll see if that happens. And X trying to get going, really can't get the lift as of late. Cleveland Cliff trying to get going there too. Steel Dynamics had a nice bounce back day. I'm really looking to see if Steel Dynamics can make a move to 110. If it can, this actually doesn't look too bad for a swing trade. I got stopped out of this last week on this wicked downside action here around the 102s. We'll see what happens if it comes right back up there towards the 110s. Meta can't find the bottom today. Yeah, it seems like there's certain stocks that are just kind of just leaking down. But Meta, I mean, it wasn't like, let's say, a 5% leak. Of course, it does have that shadow below on the chart on Meta. So you got to be careful with just maybe coming back here towards resistance, right? A lot of times when we get above resistance, what do? We come back trying to make a support attempt. So that's what I feel like we're doing right now. And I can see us going back towards about 309s. That seems to make sense. But Meta, definitely pulling back a little bit here, and strong resistance up towards the 326. All right, let's keep going, team. We'll take a look at some other action. It's 3:48. We got about 12 minutes left for the market. If you guys got a stock you guys want to check out, throw it up in the chat. I'll keep taking a look. Johnson & Johnson, looks like Dennis was definitely right this morning as the talc issues definitely start to weigh on Johnson & Johnson and really taking a hit there. But it wasn't just that in health sector. Of course, we'll take a look here. Diagnostics and research. These stocks were just strong just the other day. Thermo Fisher, DHR. Look how they're quickly turning to the downside. And so you got to be careful here in the healthcare sector. Overall, it's not really the area that I want to be in here as it's starting to pull back. DHR, not looking too bad, but not necessarily something that I want to be in right now. If I look at the major drug manufacturer names, I know someone wanted us to take a look at Merck. We'll take a look at that right now. Johnson & Johnson pulling back, Lilly pulling back, Merck actually back down towards 106.61 as it was starting to lift back there towards 110. This one's gone pretty much sideways, and I think it has an important level down below to hold now. If it doesn't hold this level, that's where you got to really start being careful on Merck, because if it breaks that level, the next level below it is down towards like 103s and 100. So we'll see what happens there on Merck if it's able to hold that. And I'd be looking for a move right now to just hold really tight. If you're looking for that upside action, it needs to hold as tight as can be, maybe a little bit of a wick. There is a couple of wicks now below that you guys can start relying on: 105.29s, 105.17, 105.67. So let's see if it can just hold 105 tomorrow, get back above 111s, and that would be a good move for Merck. We'll see what happens there. AbbVie trying to make a move back towards 150. This one doesn't look too bad. This one actually made a quick reversal sign right back to the upside. Maybe pullbacks towards 144 seem to make sense on AbbVie. And there's a couple of these here that did well today. I can take a look there. Biogen bouncing back a little bit. AMRN. But there's not anything that really just stands out too much there. Healthcare overall starting to pull back. And it's not the strongest. It's not the weakest. I feel like it's just going kind of sideways and just kind of slowly grinding higher is this sector. All right, we'll keep going. We'll see what happens, of course. MRK after the bell. If it's back up above 111s, 112s, going towards this one, let's say 113s, yeah, I like it. Back below, let's say 102s, nah, I could crack that 100 and just start coming back down towards 90. So we'll see what happens. Big report after the bell. Lulu, we'll see if this can keep going. This is just grinding higher, trying to. But I can tell you one thing. There's some strong resistance above. And if it can't get through that strong resistance, that could actually hold up and it could come right back down. So around the 400 spot is 390s. Seems like acting as big resistance there for Lululemon. All right, let's keep going, team. We'll see what else is doing well. Basic materials. Let's talk a little bit about consumer cyclical. This is an area that I definitely want to keep an eye out for. I think you're going to start seeing some of these stocks really start to push. I'm keeping an eye out on some of them to see if they can continue getting the lift. Advertising agencies showing up there for me. You got department stores. You got different areas that you want to keep an eye out for. Definitely auto truck dealerships can continue to get that lift there. So what can you look for to see a lift? Carvana continuing to push because it has what? It has the short squeeze and it has the story of the actual lift in the industry. And so now I can see Carvana maybe making another rip. So just be careful out there. Those momentum names can flip on an instant, but definitely seeing some strength there. Auto Nation starting to work its way back. We'll see what happens on that one. And I also like maybe CarMax to get a little bit of a lift, but these are some smaller names. I'd keep my eye on some of the bigger movers here. We'll see what happens there. Of course, Tesla, names like that could lift off with this mention, and I'd keep an eye on cyclicals as they do look like they want to get stronger. Macy's is an area that I'm keeping an eye out also. It has a couple of highs in the same area. It's trying to break through 17 multiple times. One thing that I've been seeing is Nordstrom going right back up there. Dillard staying strong, right? And KSS recently really starting to climb, right? Well, where's Macy's? It hasn't partaken in any of this rally. I'm going to keep an eye on it to see if it wants to make a move to 17 and 18. And I've seen Macy's kind of get a little bit of a spike before when it wants to get going. All right, let's go to the downside. Communication services leading that. Defensives also taking a major hit today in the areas of farm products and confectioners. Of course, we had that Hershey's short report that actually looks like it's starting to weigh in there, or at least Hershey's starting to take a major hit here as it's starting to get hit around the 230s. Mondelez also coming down really quickly. So be careful in the confectioners as we're seeing a turnaround. Same thing in the beverages with like Coke and Pepsi. They're starting to pull back, and defensive names take a hit today. Healthcare is the last sector there. That's not doing the best either, but we'll keep an eye on it. Utilities was a surprising one. It was doing well early on, then pulled back in the later part of the day. So I'm going to keep an eye out on like XLU to see if it recovers tomorrow. It shouldn't really break down here, let's say through the 6650s. We should be right back up through the 67s, starting to climb there towards 68 and 69. We'll see what happens there on XLU and some of these utility names. They did look good. Excel was starting to come back to 65. Just couldn't hold on today as utilities turned right back to the downside. All right, let's keep going, team. It's about 3:55. I got about 5 minutes left. How many stocks can you guys drop, and how many stocks can Money Mitch cover today? Let's see what you guys got. Throw them up there. Let me see what I can do. All right, I'm going to go really quick through these names. So you guys keep those names flowing, and I'll keep doing the quick call. I'm just going to call bullish and bearish from these levels. Of course, you guys always take everything I say with a grain of salt and know the levels that you guys are looking out for. All right, let's take a look here. Let's get into it. Let's see what we can come. First one up is Rig. All right, so Rig, RIG. RIG at 879. I'll look to see if it gets there towards 9. Bullish on this one, making sure it holds the 9 EMA. All right, let's go to Upstart. One of the leading stocks just ripping. It's very hard to catch this stock now. So I would be looking for other growth stocks, but I'm still bullish to name, but it's very hard to trade this now because how do you trade this? The only way I see it is kind of intraday renting it, but you can take a look at some stronger names that just started lifting off today. I talked about how a firm gave this big red bar. Would we see a big green bar just come right back up? Well, there you guys see it. 1931 starting to show up. This one looks like it could run also. Keep your eyes on these high short interest stocks. They're definitely seeing a lift right now. Different names all around here, but doing well. Bullish. Forward, let's go. Forward, actually, I think this one maybe could bounce to 1350s because the autos are starting to do a little bit better. But one bad strike news and boom, you're back down there towards 12. I'm staying away from Forward right now. I've been lately calling it more bearish, and that's been all the way up from 15. And it's been a pretty good move there to 13, about 14, 15% down since I've been calling it short. Now, I do think it could bounce here. But overall, I'm still seeing it to the downside. Meta, 317s. I think it can come right back towards this 9 EMA around 309 first. 317.16. I'll look to see if it pulls back there. I'm not jumping into it up here. I think it could fill that gap a little bit before it wants to go back to the upside. Nikola is the same thing. Getting a little pop. Do I think this company can last forever? No, but yes, it is getting a nice little pop. You got to look for some pullbacks towards around 250s. That makes sense right now. So maybe 250s tomorrow for pullback entries. Lyft. Lyft is actually trying to push off the bottom here, trying to get to 13. Doesn't look too bad. We definitely had that kind of like head and shoulders pattern that we pushed away from it. Now I'd want it to keep holding support and keep the trend. So hold that 9 EMA. We recently just broke from the 12s, starting to push higher. Now I'd be looking for how much can we go based on the flag pattern. $2.44 from around, let's say 12. That puts you somewhere in the case of like 14 on this Lyft move. Doesn't look too bad right now on Lyft. JD, China stocks, of course, and we're continuing to get the strength. This one doesn't look too bad either. Just keep in mind that China stocks love the gap. So it can gap right back down there towards kind of this 39.30 area and then get the lift towards the next level. So if you're going to play these China names, understand that the gaps show up on the charts all the time. You got to know how to get in it if you want to win it. Baba was one of my top calls last week on Monday. This continues from 92s now to 102s and looking like it wants to keep going higher. Baidu is one I'd keep on watch. This one looks like it wants to get above the 156, and this one could start pushing too. We'll see what happens on all these China stocks as they keep mentioning fiscal policy kind of help, and we'll see if they actually give some true fiscal policy to their consumers. All right, let's see what else is being mentioned here. Hood, let's go. We got a couple more to get through. It's 359. We'll see if Hood can keep going. This looks like it's just stair-stepping higher. I wouldn't be getting out of this unless it broke that kind of 1209 from Thursday. But right now, it looks like it wants 13. We'll see if it gets it. All right, Caterpillar, last one. We'll see if it gets the earnings tomorrow before the bell. And if it breaks through that 266, that's going to be looking really good on that stock. All right. Not a big Benzinga guy because they mostly are leftards, but I do like old Mitchy. And I'm also in Detroit. Hey, you know how it is, guys. I mean, at the end of the day, you're probably not going to like everybody under a company. Just like when I watch, any other media, there's certain people, and I won't name them, but there's a couple of people that I can't listen to. But hey, that's what we're here for also at Benzinga, to offer you guys different opportunities and find some personalities that you guys connect with. I'm always going to be here to kind of keep pushing us forward. You guys can always reach out to me if you guys have a stock that is on your radar or maybe an industry, especially if you guys are catching like an industry-wide move. Like today, what are we getting right now? We're getting a lot of these short interest stocks to continue ripping higher. I'm actually taking one of these today. I took LAZR. And why am I taking LAZR? Because I just feel like this is the type of stock that could just kind of push, right? These kind of growth names are getting the lift. QS continuing to push. Stocks like IonQ just continuing lifting higher. And these aren't based on fundamental news. These are just based on the bubble environment that we're in. And we always want to be able to catch the next opportunity. Like always, that's exactly what I'm here for. Money Mitch, I'll be looking for trends. You guys keep throwing up those tickers, keep showing up, and I'll be with you guys battling every single day. I'll see you next time right here on Start Swing Trade, and keep pushing forward, guys. I'll see you bright and early on PreMarket Prep, but of course, Dennis Dick and Joel Elconin. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed our show today and all the action that we had on Benzinga.